Yeah, this isn't happening. Do you know the type of day when you just don't really have the energy to do your hair? Hello, and welcome to my ranking of all the new movies I saw in the month of March. Now, this video is maybe a bit late, but I haven't really had the time to do it before this. I managed to watch 17 new movies in the month of March. This is going to be a ranking of 18 movies, and you're going to learn why once we get to the end of this ranking. Some of these movies might have come out earlier where you're from, but here in Denmark, they didn't come out until March. So some of these maybe came out last year for you, but I saw them in March. Now let's start with number 18, and that is Studio 666. This is quite possibly the worst horror movie I have ever seen. The acting in this movie is maybe the worst I've ever seen. It is absolutely dreadful. The movie looks horrible, and it just is. It's a terrible movie. There's really not more to say. I thought it was going to be good based off of the first scene, because the first scene is actually pretty good and quite a gripping opening. But from there, this is absolute dog shit. In 17th is Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Now, I just did a video about why I think this is a bad movie. If you didn't see that, my basic point is for an adult, there is nothing in this movie to attach yourself to. There is no emotion and no theme where you, as an adult, can be like, hey, that is fascinating. That is something I want to experience. If you're a kid, this could maybe, it will possibly entertain you. If you're a Sonic fan, of course, you've already seen it. Personally, I did not like this movie. In 16th is the Netflix movie Against the Ice. This was really, really boring. It almost felt as if nothing really happened for the entire runtime, and they spent the first hour or something on like this little quest, and then they end up going back to where they started to then immediately want to go back to where they went, and it's just the construction of this movie is just bizarre. In 15th is The Lost Daughter, and this is another movie that I just didn't like. The weird thing, though, is Olivia Colman is absolutely magical, and in my opinion, she should have won Best Actress at the Oscars. She is absolutely incredible, but the movie is not just style over substance, it is pretty much the definition of style over substance. There is, in my opinion, there is not really a story in this movie. It is just events happening with maybe a bit of afterthought to be had. But there's really nothing in this movie. And even for a movie that is pretty much just style over substance, the style isn't even that great. The camera angles and the shots within the movie just really annoyed me. And the movie, I just don't really think there's anything to find here other than Olivia Colman's performance. Number 14 is Turning Red. This is the latest Pixar movie, and in my opinion, it is definitely the worst Pixar movie ever. I think this is absolutely horrendous. First of all, there are two sides to this movie. One is when the protagonist Mei Lin, I don't really remember, when she's with her friends. I actually think the dynamic within that friend group is pretty great. But this is one of two movies that made me physically angry. And the side about Mei Li or Mei Lin, I don't really remember her name, the side with her mother pissed me off so much. She is so over exaggerated that the movie, which is already very uncomfortable to watch, it becomes almost unwatchable because the mother is so dreadfully written. And how she affects Mei Lin to behave or act towards her friends just made me dislike Mei Lin as well. I think this is a terrible movie, and I don't really know what made Pixar want to make it. Number 13 is Windfall. Now, I think the acting here and the concept is genuinely amazing. I think maybe not amazing when it comes to the concept, but I think the concept is fun. The acting is amazing, and the cast, of course, is absolutely phenomenal. I think Jesse Plemons is just perfect in everything he does, pretty much. And I think Jason Segel is actually one of those people who have done sitcoms who have managed, in my opinion, to break out of their role. Because when I look at Jason Segel, I don't just see Marshall Erickson. He's a brilliant actor, and I really enjoy him. The problem in this movie is the pacing, especially during the second act of the movie. It really slows down and becomes quite boring. Um, and also, I think Jason Segel delivers a great performance, but the writing for his character prevents him from ever actually feeling like menacing, um, in the way that I feel like he's supposed to feel. So in the end, it falls around a 5 out of 10. But I think the concept is fun and the acting is good. Number 12 is Parallel Mothers. Now, I thought that this movie had, just like Windfall, a concept that was actually pretty good. I thought it was a fun concept, and I think they discovered it in a pretty good way. The whole side thing about the grave and Penelope Cruz's ancestors or whatever that was, I found that to be incredibly boring and really far removed from what actually made this movie interesting. And also, just like with Windfall, the pacing isn't the best, and it did lose me at times. In 11th is Licorice Pizza. Now, the reason for me not loving this is not the same as everyone else's. Basic my basic criticism of this movie is the fact that for a comedy, it is not funny at all. I did not laugh one single time. I think the performances are amazing, and the chemistry between Alana Haim and Cooper Hoffman is absolutely off the charts. But I think that I was really getting annoyed with how many times they veered away and onto something else, some side plot that was just not as compelling as that main relationship. And I think there are certain things within the movie that indicate that a lot of time has gone by, but it hasn't, and that in that way the movie confused me a bit. And I just think it would have worked a lot better, in my opinion, to just have a regular love story. I don't even mind the age gap because I think that's handled very well by P.T. Anderson. But just have a love story between Alana Haim and Cooper Hoffman. I think that would have worked. In 10th is Ambulance. Now, I think this movie is such a good time. Is it great cinema? No, of course not. It's Michael Bay. But it is one of the best Michael Bay movies. It is so much fun. The action is amazing. The acting is amazing. I think Jake Gyllenhaal seems to be having so much fun with this movie, just like I did in the theater. I think Yahya Abdul-Mateen is absolutely amazing. And it was just a great time. In ninth, controversially, Morbius. I think Morbius was a lot of fun. Is it the best movie? No, clearly not. It's ninth. But I think it was totally fine. It's generic. The villain isn't very interesting. Really, any of the characters aren't that interesting. But I thought it was a fun and enjoyable superhero movie. Should it have been a superhero movie when it's Morbius in the lead? No, but yeah, I had fun. Number 8 is Rescued by Ruby. This is the first movie this year to make me emotional. It's a very lighthearted, very sweet, very unassuming little movie, and the way it ties together at the end, just hit home for me, and it was just really emotional, really enjoyable, and Grant Gustin is just not, of course, an Oscar level, absolutely amazing actor, but I think he does a great job in the movie, and I think he seems like a lovely guy. In seventh is Klienten, or as I think it's called in English, The Last Client. This is a Danish thriller movie that is pretty much all build up, but you can feel it's building towards something. And I think the way it ties together and the way the third act is constructed and the way the movie is rounded out, I think actually works really, really well. I don't think the lead actress does a very great job. I think she's pretty awkward throughout the movie. She does get better as the movie progresses, but she's never really good. I think Anton Yejle, who plays the antagonist, the serial killer, I think he's absolutely amazing. But at the end, it just didn't feel significant. It didn't feel extraordinary. In sixth is the Adam Project. Now, this was really the month of just having fun. This movie is so much fun. I love Ryan Reynolds. I'm never gonna get enough of the Ryan Reynolds stick. And I think Walker Scobell is so much fun as well and does an amazing job of capturing the essence of the Ryan Reynolds humor. And their banter back and forth is so much fun. I think the story is a lot of fun. I think the cast is amazing. Of course, Mark Ruffalo in there as well. The issue for me is I don't like, don't like. That's a bit harsh maybe, but in every single time travel movie, there are loopholes, and I can always find them, and they're always easy to find, and there is a ton of loopholes in this as well. But it was a lot of fun. I had so much fun with this movie. In fifth is Fresh, and this is a very fresh little thriller. It was so entertaining, and Sebastian Stan is just, I mean, he's just so good. I mean, is he as good as in Pam and Tommy? Maybe not, but that's just because he's incredible in Pam and Tommy. He is just absolutely incredible. And I think the lead actress here, Daisy something, I don't remember her name. I'm very, very sorry, but she's incredible as well. I think the story is maybe a bit generic, but yeah, as I said, entertaining. And again, I'm gonna say it again. This movie is so much fun. Number four is X. Now, this horror movie, and what a year for horror movies. I mean, wow. This year has had some amazing horror movies. I'm gonna get on to another one in a minute. X, it's a really unique movie. The thing that really made it great to me was the tone and the vibe and the feel of where they are and the time period and how it all escalates. I mean, you can feel, just like I said with Klienten, you can feel how they're setting everything up, and you can sense that, okay, this is building towards something incredible, and it really, really is. The payoff in this movie is incredible. The third act is so amazing, and I just really, really love this movie. I think I'm not that big of a fan of movies that are this closely tied to porn. But it factors into the story, and I don't think they really overstated. I think it works well. But I'm not that big of a fan of movies that are that where porn is such a big element. Number three, and this is where you find out why I've seen 18 movies, but this is a ranking. Why I've seen 17 movies, but this is a ranking of 18. Because my number three is The Batman on my first viewing. I had a lot of fun. Again, I'm so sorry, my vocabulary. This movie is incredible. The first time I saw it, I thought that what brought the movie down was the fact that I thought that there had to be more time in between adaptations of Batman. Because, in my opinion, that first time I saw it, it felt wrong to see Robert Pattinson as Bruce Wayne. I'm sorry. In my opinion, the real Bruce Wayne is Christian Bale. The real Alfred is Michael Caine and stuff like that. It felt weird. It felt like there had to be more time in between the movies. So maybe you made a new Batman for a new generation. Maybe like if 30 years had gone by. And therefore, it didn't strike me the way it struck other people. Strike. Yeah, whatever. But I did think it was an amazing movie and a new way of of putting Batman into film. And I think Matt Reeves' direction is amazing, and I even, as I'll get on to, appreciated it more the second time. Number two is Speak No Evil. This is a Danish horror movie, and it is at the same time, it is maybe the best horror movie I've ever seen. And it is also the last horror movie I would ever want to see again. At least if you're talking about good horror movies. I mean, I would rather see this than Studio 666, but you know what I mean. The movie is horrifying. Absolutely horrifying. And the last 30 minutes of this movie had my jaw on the floor. It is absolutely despicable, and you could feel your stomach churn. It felt so wrong to be entertained by this, but it is so brilliant at horrifying you. But what takes place during that last 30 minutes just left my theater stunned. I have never experienced that a movie finished and there was just quiet. People always start to talk about the movie as they're walking out, but not this movie. It was just quiet. I mean, on my way, after I'd left the theater, when I was walking down the stairs to the street, you could hear one guy say like, "Oh shit, man, that." But no one could really put it to words. This movie is great, and I never want to see it again. And my number one is The Batman on my second viewing. Now this time I'd gotten used to Robert Pattinson and Andy Serkis. I mean, their performances are amazing, don't get me wrong. I thought that the first time as well. But this time it didn't feel as unnatural to see them in the roles, and therefore I could really appreciate the story that is just perfectly crafted by Matt Reeves. It's an amazing movie, and it is the first and only 10 out of 10 I've given this year to any movie. It is absolutely brilliant. Now, if you liked what you saw and you want to see more of this, I mean, I'm doing this, well, I want to say at the end of every month, but I mean, this is the 11th of April. But I'm doing this every month, ranking all the movies I've seen, and I'm trying to watch as many movies as I can, as many TV shows as I can, and I just want to bring as many reviews as I possibly can to you guys. If you want to be a part of that, please consider clicking that subscribe button.